Hello learners, today we are going to continue the topic The Essay of Dramatic Poesy by John Dryden. In the previous lecture, the video that you have already seen, we have talked about the background, the structures and the characters that were created by John Dryden to give the work a dramatic touch. We have talked about them all. And in today's video, we are going to see the case of first two poesy, dramatic poesy, which were represented by the two characters, Crites and Eugenius. So we will talk about these two characters and their case, which poetry they are defending and what points they present in defense of the poetry that they are talking about. So, first we are going to take the case of the ancients, which was presented by Crites, which was in real life based on Sir Robert Howard. Earlier also I think I have mentioned that Sir Robert Howard was John Dryden's brother-in-law. He was also a writer. He was quite witty, very sharp at his judgment, and yes, and he is going to defend in the form of Crites. He is going to defend the Asians. So let's see what points does he give while defending the ancients. The ancient here ancients means the ancient dramatics, the art form of the ancients. So he begins by pointing that the dramatic art is actually given by the ancients. It was the ancients who had created all the rules, who had given this drama form its beginning in Greece, mainly in Greece. So he says that it was in that period only where the whole dramatic art got its maturity, not just the birth. It was the completion, it was the whole evolution in that period that the ancients have witnessed. So, in his own words, what he says, quote unquote, dramatic poesy had time enough, reckoning from Thespis, who first invented it, to Aristophanes, to be born, to grow up, and to flourish in maturity. So these are the words what he's trying to say, that this was the period between Thespis and Aristophanes that the drama got invented, it evolved and got its maturity, came into its full form. So ancient Greece has seen this evolution, and along with Greece then the Roman civilization, and there are Roman dramatists also, or theorists also, who have laid the rules for the ancient drama. So in this he says that dramatists were very much looked up in this period. They were held in high esteem, which is not being seen in the present time. In the contemporary time, this is lost. So when the dramatists were given so much respect, they had this desire to excel, right? When your work is appreciated, you actually feel to improve it. But when your work is not appreciated, it is in fact disregarded, then you do not like to do that work. So this is what he is saying. Crites is presenting his point that the modern dramatists have lost the desire to excel because they are not being respected like the way ancients were respected in the period, and how they were, they continuously put effort, they toiled so much to excel the art, to give more into the art. So that is why the art in modern period, the dramatic art in modern period is not flourishing, because as per Critus, they are not held in high esteem, they are not given that much regard, so they are not putting extra effort into their art which can make a difference. So this is one point. He this is in fact the second point. The first point would be that drama got its maturity, its invention in ancient Greece. That is the first point. In the second point, he says that in the modern time, people have the dramatists have lost their interest in doing extra effort to improve their dramatic art, whereas the ancients were toiling day and night, and they are putting all their efforts to make it better, to develop the dramatic art. So that time dramatic art was at another level as per him. Then he says that the emulation is necessary for artistic development. You need to continuously surrender yourself, you need to continuously put your hard work, so that there is artistic development. And when you have lost that interest, like the moderns are facing that problem, that's why there is less dramatic artistic development, or we may say there is no dramatic artistic development that is taking place in the present time. Whereas in the past, people were continuously doing it. They are doing it for the sake of the people, or for themselves, or for the sake of dramatic art itself. Then he says, where he comes to the three unities. You all have heard about, when we discussed about Aristotle, you heard about unity of action, unity of time. Such words had come. Now you should know there are three types of unity. Unity of action, as I've told you, unity of time, and unity of place. So Critus discusses about these three unities, and according to him, the ancient followed the three unities, these three unities, and more or less this unity of time was followed in tragedies. So they took special care that tragedies should end in a single circuit of time, that I have already mentioned when I discussed with you about Aristotle. So unity of time is specially followed in tragedies. Then he says, they were also careful about following the unity of place. What is unity of place? That they want to see that the scene which has been used, the scenario with the setting that has been used by the dramatist, should not be changed. It should be same all through the play. At one place, that play should complete. So this is called unity of place. So this is also, according to him, is followed by the ancients. As well as, though he approves a bit of change here, a development of here, he says that there are little bit of change in scene is possible if the location is nearby, like from the palace to the garden, right? From the if it is in the market to some house next to it, or to a shop, such kind of practical change in scene is still acceptable. It is still bearable. So when we talked about the three unities, the three unities, as I told you, that they followed time, especially in tragedies. They followed this unity of place according to Critus, and even Critus approves that there is a little bit of practical change in scene is acceptable, that can be approved, which is believable. You cannot have a huge gap in the place. Just nearby locations are still acceptable. And he talks about unity of action, that it is a must. The unity of action is must, because when there is no unity of action, the play would not be a singular play. If there is more action, then it is going to be two plays instead of one. So he's actually serious about the three unities, and according to him, the ancients followed all three unities. A bit of advancement when we talk about unity of place. So next, then he says that there is decline in drama. One reasons we had already seen, because there is no much artistic development taking place, because the dramatists have lost their desire to excel in the light of lack of appreciation. So that was one reason. We'll continue over here. He gives another reasons for the decline of drama. He says that that I have already said here. Also, I have mentioned here reason for that. Then he says important thing, that the ancients were faithful imitators and wise observer of nature. So whatever they were imitating, you must remember that the basic key for creating some art is imitation. So the ancients, what they imitated the nature, but they faithfully did it, they carefully did it, because they were very wise. And according to him, according to Critus, whatever they handed over as work of art, that was exactly the resemblance of nature. This was exact depiction of nature in the dramatic form, right? But if you talk about contemporary writers, Critus says that these writers, what they are doing when they are making this imitation, they are doing this imitation, what they are producing is ill copies. What they are producing is misfigured, disfigured copies. So they are not exactly the resemblance of the nature, whereas the quality or the artistic form that has the touch that has to be given to the artwork is lost. Whatever they are creating is low in quality to the nature. That's why there is decline in drama. Critus says that these are the reasons why modern art should not compare themselves to the ancients. Ancients are better than the moderns. Again, he also talks about the merits of the ancients. What are the good qualities of the ancients? So he says that the all the drama rules that we have for the dramas, these rules come from the ancient writers like Aristotle, Horace. So from their work, Aristotle's work Poetics and Horace's work are as art of poetry, ars poetica, the Greek, sorry, the Roman term. So art of poetry, these are the foundational rule books for creating drama. We have already studied Aristotle, in which you already know that what points he has given for creating a good tragedy. So he says that the moderns failed at observing the three unities. At this point, I should also mention the modern here means mainly the Elizabethan dramatists, because they were modern for Critus. Okay, so the now he says these moderns, they did not observe the three unities. We do know that it is not observed here, because unity of action, if you talk about, there are subplots. If you talk about unity of place, there are a lot of changes in the scenario. When you talk about unity of place in English drama, there are many examples where there is huge change in the space, from one place to another place, from one year to another year, after many years. So there, that even the time is not been bound or followed the way we are taught by Aristotle or Horace in their work. So the three unities are not observed like the ancients by the moderns. Now he says that the ancients, when they use words, they have this rhetoric style of using words. They use the words in superlative degrees. These words were so persuasive that people would get into the sway of those words, the flow of those words. So that is considered as a positive fact for the ancients, the merit for the ancients, whereas the moderns could not add anything new to the art of drama. According to him, according to Critus, no, there is nothing added by the modern drama. But we all know that how much we all can agree. That's why it is in a discussion form. It is a kind of debate. This is what is designed by Dryden, where he is leaving open the scope for the audience, for the readers to decide the sides, right? We all have heard the side of Critus right now, and we know how much we can agree with him, or how much changes we, or which side we need to choose. So this is the case of the ancients. Now we'll talk about the other side, that is modern, mainly the Elizabethan drama that we are going to talk here, is which is presented. The case is presented by Eugenius, who is Lord Bucharest, and Lord Bucharest is actually Charles Sackville, who is patron of John Dryden. So he actually favors the moderns here. Let me, I will recall again. The moderns are the Elizabethan dramatists, in which you very well know Shakespeare. You must have read about Marlowe, you must have read about Fletcher, Beaumont. So these are the contemporary of Shakespeare, and they all make this Shakespeare Elizabethan period. So in that period, we all know that how much the drama thrived in England. But listening to Crichton's point of view, we feel like that the moderns have not added anything, whereas the artistic development has deteriorated, the dramatic art has deteriorated, nothing, or whatever they are creating, it is in ill form. So all that point make us actually think that how he is going to defend modern drama. In the whole this thing, I could read this, sorry, in whole discussion, the argument that is presented by Eugenius, I get to understand this, that when he could not find lot of demerits with ancients, sorry, a lot of merits with moderns, he found the demerits of ancients, right? There are two ways of arguing. Either you put your point, or you no you try to prove yourself right, or you try to prove others wrong. So what is Eugenius doing is trying to find out the faults in the ancients to prove his argument, to prove his case. So what points he gives, we will just see to it here, what Eugenius says in favor of the moderns. He begins by agreeing to Crichton regarding the contribution of the ancients in setting the rules. Nobody can deny that. It's a fact that the rules that has been handed down to us, they come from the ancient writers, from Greece, from Rome. So these Greco-Roman period, we get the rules. So obviously we cannot, nobody can actually deny the fact. So also he also agrees to this, and yes, he says that it's very true that we get all the rules from the ancients. But he definitely makes it clear that moderns have improved the works of the ancients in many respects. He cannot say that moderns have not done anything, because he is here to defend the moderns. He says that one cannot say that moderns have not done anything. They had definitely improved the ancient drama in many respects. He points that the very first thing, the very big, in fact the biggest contribution of the modern dramatists is fixing the acts. Now earlier there were no acts in a play. Now the moderns, what they did, they fixed the drama, they divided the drama into 5 acts. So this was done by the moderns, and this helped in the construction of any play. Earlier what used to happen, that with the entry of characters or the chorus, the scene would change, right? There was no actually division of act. So that makes a kind of lot of, one cannot get that what piece has ended over here. There are a lot of small such changes in act that way, because at every entrance or every chorus you feel like a different act. So that is indigested kind of notion in any play. So then this is biggest contribution, as he says. Now he begins with the demerits of the ancients. He says that the ancients repeated the tales which are said earlier. The same plots are used again and again. The plot of Troy, the story of Thebes based on Oedipus. So these stories were used so many times that it got so repeated that it marred the novelty and delight of the play. Now, nothing new is being presented. That is novelty. Novelty is to have something new. So there is nothing new in the play because they are repeating the same story. So, and there is no delight then, because when you see the same thing again and again, obviously you would not be delighted. And to to mind this fact that any play has this, it has two purpose: one to teach and one to delight. So delight is a very important purpose of any play, which is being lost by the ancient because they are continuously repeating the same story. So what is happening, the play is not being enjoyed by the people the way it should have been done, because the purpose is lost. Then you are only focusing on instructing the people by boring them, because you are not bringing any novelty, you are not bringing any delight to the audience. Next, he says, when earlier Critus has made this point that the ancients are, faithful imitators of nature. Then, to that point, Eugenius says that the characters that they create, they imitate, they are so unnatural, they are complete, because they are so limited that they become narrow. There is no perspective, no different sides to the character, because they are only presenting one emotion from through one character. And in that it happens that the character lacks the reality, and the character lacks the different perspective that should be presented through it, so it becomes narrow in approach. Then again he continues on the ancient drawbacks of the ancients, as I told you, because there was nothing much to tell about the improvements of the moderns, but there were a lot of drawbacks which were overcome by the moderns. So he needed to point out all the drawbacks that the ancients had. So then he comes to the unities point. Crites has earlier said that the ancient followed the three unities, right? But now he says that he makes it an argument that no, it's not true. Even the ancients did not follow the three unities. In fact, unity of place was never in question for the ancients. They did not care about it, because neither Aristotle nor Horace have written about unity of place. It was in fact more of a thing of the French dramatists. The French dramatists had created this thing called unity of place. Definitely the ancient dramatist or these rules writer have made it a point for unity of action and unity of time, that too mainly in tragedies. But this unity of place was a totally different concept that came from French drama. So he says that even the ancients did not follow the three unities. They never invented this unity of place thing actually. So the ancient, then he continues, he says that ancients showed no justice, no poetic justice. This was the same point that was given by Plato for banishing this, the poets, because he was against this fact that the poets are not showing poetic justice. What is poetic justice? Let me remind you. Poetic justice is that the good should meet good at the end and the bad should meet bad at the end. That the hero, the good character should be blessed by happiness, or blessed with happiness at the end, should cherish all the good things in his life as per the sayings of the god, or the rules of the god, that whoever does good would get good in return, and whoever does bad would get bad in return. That is the law of the nature, that is the law of god, as we have been hearing, learning since our childhood, but it generally doesn't happen. And this is what was shown by the poets in the ancient time also, that the good would not meet good. We have seen in tragedies, good people would die at the end, they would suffer at the end, whereas the bad are not punished that way, which would give a lesson to others, right? So he says that ancients lacked this poetic justice. They did not care, they did not give much attention to poetic justice, whereas moderns have maintained this decorum. They have tried their best to provide poetic justice in the work at the end, so that the audience also get motivated for doing good in their life, or they would get scared of doing bad in their life in fear of getting punished for that. So that is done by modern, whereas the ancients have missed on it. Then he says the elaborate choice of words which Critus has pointed out as in favor of the ancients. Now he says that Eugenius says that such hi-fi language, such difficult language is not enjoyed by the common people, so it should not be used. So that is again a drawback of the ancient, that they are thinking by using the tough words or difficult language or rhetorical language, in that if they are thinking that they are doing something very good, or they are at some upper hand. He says no, it's not like that, because the common audience doesn't enjoy such difficult language, because they do not understand that much the language. The audience are, the majority of audience come from labor class, the working class, the peasant class. So how would they enjoy when they are not educated for that language? It would be only limited to the people who are educated in their life, they know that kind of language, then only they can enjoy it. But the common mass cannot you enjoy the tough choice of words, so it is not a palette for the common people. Then he says the ancients were dull and tasteless in presenting soft emotions and only focused on harsh emotions. What he says that the ancients actually couldn't give much space to soft emotions on the stage. Their main focus were the harsh emotions like anger, cruelty, lust, revenge, ambition. They covered their majority of plays through these themes. There was very less space for lovers or the emotions. Whatever the lovers said, it was actually very little, and that too without any passion. So much, nothing was seen in their soft emotion. So what they were doing, they were not promoting soft emotions through their work. They were actually, when they were not giving space to love and such kind of emotions through their play, soft emotions through their plays, so they were only focusing on harsh emotion. And when they are focusing so much on harsh emotion, they are only promoting harsh emotions in return. So the audience are, they are not they are not learning the emotions of compassion, love, friendship. They are only getting wrong emotions served, and there is a kind of horror that is raised among them. So that is what, in a way, they are harming the society, because the we all require love, compassion, help, friendship, trust, such kind of emotions in our lives. But the ancients have completely missed on that thing in their times of drama. Now Critus come to this end. These all drawbacks were huge, hit on Critus or ancient dramas, because yes, modern drama in this way, when they have covered or they have worked on all these drawbacks, so they appear as the stronger party over here, who have worked on all the drawbacks of ancients. So Critus comes to defend the ancients again by saying, he says, first thing to regarding this emotion thing, the soft emotion thing, the Critus says that it was the age like that. It was not, that in that period, in ancient time, such emotions were not encouraged much, right? Had the ancients were born in the modern time, they would also have accommodated all these emotions, what the moderns are doing these days. In that period, love and friendship and trust, such kind of emotions were not encouraged by the age itself. That's why the dramatists did not intend to present those emotions on stage. So this is one reason he gives for the emotion, the soft emotion things which are missed by the ancient. Then he closes the argument by saying that the modern dramatists have not excelled the ancients, they have only differed from them. So actually they have not contributed anything new according to him, but there is like different approach to the drama that the moderns have applied, they have used, but they have actually not improved anything as such in drama dramatic poesy. So these were the cases that were presented by uh, the two characters, Critus, which is actually created on Sir Robert Howard, and Eugenius, who favored the moderns, we can say the Elizabethan writers, who was created on the character of Lord Bucharest. So these two characters have now talked about moderns and the ancients. We will continue in the next video the case of French dramatist and the English dramatist of actually his time, mm, your Dryden's time. So in the next video that will come up, and I hope you all have learned, understood till here. That will be all for today. Thank you, and let's wait for the next video then.